From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, it's Casino Secrets with Vegas Vic and Ziggy.
You can watch the other players unless you're playing with your phone. And
Unless you're playing with the phone, which we learn not to do.
So if you're looking at what's going on and you're paying attention all the time, even when you're not in the hand, you will be able to learn a lot from what other people do, how they do it or how they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can not only spot those tells in the live poker games, but you can also spot online tells.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in online tells, there are different kinds of tells. You know, in live poker, when I'm looking at you as a human being, you might do this, you know, and you might do that, and you know, you might go like this, and you might go like that. You might play with your chips like these are all different things, mannerisms.
Right.
Online tells are different. For example, how quickly do you make your move? Do you click immediately?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a sign of strength or weakness? Do you have to ponder and take your full 30 seconds before you make a decision? Does that mean you're multi-tabling and you just didn't get around to it? Or does that mean that you don't know?
Okay.
And after a while of seeing those repeated patterns from those players, you'll be able to pick up on those tells.
Mm-hmm.
And online you have other things. You know, for example, most of the sites will have stats, and you can look up players and see how many tables they play at the same time. You can see if they are multi-table players, if they are tournament players, if they play like 6 sit-and-goes at the same time, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are the delays in their actions due to the fact that they're multi-tabling, or due to the fact that they are new to the game, or are they trying to give a false online tell?
Got it.
And so forth.
Okay. And then, do you have a favorite poker story?
Do I have? This will be a good thing to end on. My favorite.
Take a drink.
Favorite poker story.
Because something tells me the tell you're giving me right now is that you're looking at the ground, going, "Oh boy, how do I tell this one?"
Well, favorite poker story. Okay. Well, how often?
About once. We do these about once a week.
Yeah, once a week. Yeah, once a week. So my favorite poker story. Okay. So let me just. What's the biggest mistake made during game? Write that down.
Okay.
My favorite poker story. Many years ago, when I first came to Las Vegas, I used to play a lot downtown. Mostly a lot at Binion and Horseshoe, but also at the Golden Nugget that they had in there. Now, Golden Nugget at the time had a steak buffet. For $1, all the steak you can eat. And they were usually
those were the days.
Those were small 8-ounce steaks, right?
Right.
And they had a buffet, and you know, and all of us degenerate gamblers would go there around 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we get our dollar and we eat our steaks, and because most of us were always perennially broke, because you know, we would always, you know, bust out of the game and then have to go and hustle for some more money so we can get back in.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time when the group of us would go there, you know, we'd say, "Oh yeah, broke again, huh?" Mm. So we went with our $1 for all you can eat steak buffet.
Nice.
And the steak buffet was basically just that. It was a whole bunch of little steaks dumped into a bin, and there was nothing else with it. So you just ate the steak.
Just ate steak.
And so you would put the steaks on your plate, and you know, you put your ketchup in it and whatever, and eat the steak. And we would always, you know, sneak in and stuff steaks.
Oh my.
You know, and so we could take them home. We had them in our pocket, right? And so when it was like early in the morning, and I had just, you know, got my weekly fill of my steaks and stocked up in
You're all staked up.
And I decided that I ran into we got some hearts. I ran into a friend of mine. Oh, thank you.
Hello, from North Korea. Hello.
North Korea. Well, thank you very much. So I ran into a friend of mine. I had loaned him some money, and he paid me back.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, I said to him, well, on my way home, I said, well, I'm going to stop by at the poker room, and I'm going to buy. Is that what dog is saying? I am going to go and buy into the game and, you know, play for a little while,
mm-hmm.
right? So I had put the money in my pocket, and when I got to the poker table, I wanted to buy in, and I says, you know, how much you going to buy in with? And I said 200.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reached through my pocket, and
and
instead of pulling out the $200, and I pulled out 2 steaks.
You pulled out 2 steaks.
I put them on the table, and the floor man looked at me and says, You want ketchup and fries with that? so I said, not now, thanks. Not on this filthy table.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
My favorite story.
Okay.
Okay. So what was the question?
Hey, you're raising the stakes.
Yeah, I'm raising the stakes. Ah. You want ketchup and fries?
Yeah. Okay, what's the biggest mistake you ever made during a game?
The biggest mistake I ever made during the game. Now,
Yeah.
that was bad.
It was.
The biggest mistake I made. Well, there were lots of them.
No, the biggest. Or just say one of the biggest that you can think of that isn't a 10-minute story.
Man, I gotta tell you, the biggest mistake in the game that I made. This is a real story, and this is not funny.
Oh,
It's not a funny story.
okay.
It's a real mistake that I made in poker.
Okay.
I was playing in an all-limit game. I bought in for $300, and in about an hour, I had $2,600 out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing in there, and I had a fellow a couple of seats to my left. And then I had been noticing how he was playing, and I was trying to go and pick him off.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of chips in front of him. He was obviously a very rich fellow, splashing money around and so forth.
Okay.
So I decided that I was going because he would always bet. So if I check, I knew who would come in, and I wanted to come in over the top of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to play some really strange, crappy hands. And in this case, I played a 7-3 offsuit, which is a really stupid game to play.
Okay.
That was already several $100s in the pot by the time it got to me. And so instead, what I did, I simply called the previous bet,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that he was going to come over the top.
Right.
Right. And so, by the way, this game, this was a 2-5 no limit game with a $500 buy-in.
All right.
And there was approximately $20,000 on the table between all the players.
Okay.
So even though it's a 2-5 no limit game, this was a pretty hefty game.
Okay.
And this particular player had, I think, about $3,000 or $4,000 in front of him. I had like $2,600 at that time.
Okay.
And so I did, and just like I had done he had come over the top. We all called him.
Mm-hmm.
The flop came down with 2 7s, giving me 3 7s.
Nice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Check, 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 check. Bet.
Okay.
Fold, 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 fold. Up to me.
Okay.
I go over the top of him, 600.
All right.
So this leaves me now with about $1,900 left.
Mm-hmm.
He raises over the top of me. I think it was another $600 on top of mine.
Okay. I see your 600, and I raise you another 600.
Right.
Okay.
So now suddenly a cold spell came over me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking at him, and I tried to study him, and I said, I tried to figure out, did the guy flop a full house? Because there was a king,
Mm-hmm.
7-7 king. And it came over me like a flood of cold water that he was playing pocket kings and flopped a full house.
Okay.
And I looked at him and I studied him for a long, 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 long time. And I finally folded, and he then showed me 2 queens.
Oh.
He had an underpair to the board.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't put me on a king, right? He didn't put me
Right.
on 3 7s at all.
Right.
He was simply trying to force me over this in case I was playing a weak king, although he said he didn't put me on one.
Right.
And that was the biggest mistake I ever made in a game of poker, because it was my stupidity. I did not stick with my read on the player and did not follow through and go all in like I had set it up.
Okay.
And that is a true, honest mistake. I was stupid, and to this day I relive this hand every night, every time I'm at the table, because this was by far the most idiotic thing I've ever done in my life in the poker game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I read it right, I set it up, I was patient over hours, I picked the player, I understood what it was happening, but I didn't follow through with it. And that is a prescription for disaster. And I fell into my own hole and buried myself in it.
Okay.
So that's a true, honest assessment of it. But I've never done the same mistake again. But I learned from it. But it still sticks with me because it was the biggest one ever. So I guess that's about it.
That's it. We're getting a lot of thank yous from the audience.
Well, thank you very
they're
much for
very
joining us.
appreciative of all your information. This has been
Yeah.
a fantastic show.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. If you've missed any of our previous broadcasts, thank you for the hearts. If you missed any of our previous broadcasts, please log on to our website, morecasinodeals.com.
And this video will be on there, right?
No, actually, no. It's the videos are at LasVegasLiveTV.com.
So anything that they miss from this Periscope,
Right.
we're actually video recording this,
Right.
and we're going to be putting that on Las Vegas Live TV.
LasVegasLiveTV.com is where you will find copies of all our broadcasts. If you want more details about any gambling information, my books, information about how to play poker, my poker videos, go to morecasinodeals.com. Right on the homepage, there's a whole bunch of links. Feel free to link on them. And we broadcast about every week. So until that time, I'm Vegas Vic and Ned Ziggy. Say goodbye, Ziggy.
Goodbye, Ziggy!
I'll see you in the casino, and thank you for joining us. So long.